I really enjoyed just
being the star of the show.
Yeah, but that wasn't my fault.
But I'm just saying,
I just
it's
got
not.
older.
Whoa, right,
So
and your patience got short. But you were.
April told me this. She said, "Wow, you're one of the shortest guys I've dated." I'm like, what?
It's true.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
welcome to another episode of
Mr. Personality
and the Invisible Woman. Hey, we are excited to be here, April and Henry again. We had an awesome time last time introducing this.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of great feedback. Thank you all so much for the ones that made comments, sent us text messages. We are just grateful for this opportunity to be able to share our relationship and what we've encountered with others and heard over the years that may be able to help someone in their relationships. Right?
And what we learned from either from other people or mistakes that we made and fixed. I mean, we're here for it. We're here to share and to help you guys grow. And guess what? Your comments and your love helps us grow too, right? Yeah. We don't just get in this game. We've been in here almost, 20 years knowing each other, 17 and a half years married. Yeah. So we know a little something, just a little something.
Yeah, just a little bit. And, and it was in the complexity of it because when you have a Mr. Personality,
yes,
or you have a Miss or Mrs. Personality, and then you have the invisible or transparent spouse, partner, significant other, there can be some challenges in that, right?
Yeah, it can be. But before you start on that, don't forget to subscribe to the Tyme Only Podcast so you guys can be connected with us, and you will know when we drop new episodes, so you will always be in the loop, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're looking very tall tonight.
Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, you're going to have to go back and watch episode 1. But you're looking kind of tall. Did you take some growth pills?
No, girl. I took one of your pillows and sat on it. Yeah, when you watch episode 1 and I talk about the glutes, the gluteus maximus, I think my theory has been proven because my torso didn't grow, but yet and still I'm looking taller tonight. So
you are.
Yeah, just a little something.
Yes.
And you're just looking so beautiful tonight.
Thank you, sir. And you're looking mighty dapper yourself, loving that green on you.
Yeah. I'm loving what you did,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Toot beep beep.
Yeah. So, fellas, if she's willing to dress you and keep you looking tight, hey man, just go for it.
Okay.
Just go for it.
So let's get into, let's just dive right on in here and kind of pick up where we left off. I think we ended with me saying, whose fault is it? Yeah. And I leaned in and said, is it your fault?
Right.
So let's pick up on that. So Mr. Personality himself, why don't you begin?
So tonight we're talking about the blame game or the fault, or where somebody has to be at fault in a relationship, and so and we'll just share. I mean, for our relationship, and so when you have someone who has the bigger personality and you're dating, now the question becomes this, and we were just talking about this earlier, about was that person, did they have that big personality when you met them? Or did this over time begin to develop? Well, in our situation, I came in pretty much on 1,000.
Yeah, you did. But when you first came in, I did not see you in various settings. You know what I mean? Like, when I first met you, I didn't see you at work. You know, I would see you around church, and at that time, I don't think you were a minister then.
All right.
So over time, your already big personality grew. Well, in my mind, it grew, but it probably was you all along. But because I was just meeting you, I didn't see you in a whole lot of settings. I didn't get a chance to see Mr. Personality in the form. You know what I mean? Right. I would only see it over time when we were at places together. And even it depended on the place too, and how the people reacted to you at the place. Now, I think I touched on this last week, but if we went somewhere and people were like, "Hey, my dude," blah blah blah, that kind of opened the door for Mr. Personality to be like, "Oh, word, okay, that's what I'm talking about." So you probably were like that, but I think the personality grew over time, and then I think the personality shrunk too over time in certain settings.
Right.
So.
Okay, that's great.
What about me? I mean, we're talking about. Oh, let me let you go ahead with Mr. Personality. You did say, were you like that? Were you always like that?
Yeah, I was always like that. I mean, even as a kid, I really enjoyed just
being the star of the show.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Not really.
No, really.
But the thing was, it's as a kid, I'm the oldest grand of 13 grandchildren.
Okay.
So when I was born, it was 2 years later before anybody else came around. So I got the attention of everybody.
Oh.
And then,
so wait a minute.
Right.
Did your family create this big personality monster, or giving you all of like Henry when you were younger? Do you think that I know you had a big personality, but did you think that was like the budding of it? Like you were the star of the show then as a little kid because you were flying solo, and you just took it and flew a kite or ran with it?
Yeah, but you're not gonna come from my family.
Oh no! But that's not your fault, though. I mean, there was no other kid around. I'm not trying to come for your family, but they did. That would make them somewhat have created or allowed this personality to expand.
Yeah. You know, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And then I was a musician, so I was one of these kids that was, you know, a musician, like 5 years old, playing instruments. So now, you get a kid with talent. Now, someone who's used to being, in, I don't know, somewhat of a little family spotlight.
Somewhat.
And to all my cousin and brothers and sisters, I'm not, you know, love y'all. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not.
Right.
It's not something that you. Well, I can't say that. I was going to say that's not something you search for, but because in that younger stage, you could have been shut down if it was too much. It could have been like, look, sit down. That's too much. Sit down.
And that did happen.
Okay.
And that did happen. But I believe, you know, and now we're talking about fast forwarding. There are some people who develop when they're older. You know,
true.
Some people, you know, you meet them and you understand that when they were kids, they were quiet. And then you meet this person now and you're like, you were a quiet kid, shy. What happened? You know, in life. And so now, but I go back to us and when we met.
Yes.
At the time when we met, I had been married before, and when I met you, I had been divorced for probably 7 years. So I was 7 years single again. You know, like what? Then having a child, my oldest daughter. So I was a single dad. And so, you know, the cuteness of my daughter being so beautiful, and everybody want to love up on her. She's so cute, and so it attracted women.
Your crowd.
So
wow,
and so now I have my friends, and so the guys, we were always just about enjoying life to the fullest. You know what I mean? And so that's where, that personality, I already had the personality. But now, like you said, and that was a great point, now in the different settings, because now also as a musician, there was another area where like, wow, you're in this setting playing, and even in the church scene, being a musician, it was that, hey, great guy, good old Southern boy, everything like that.
Right.
So, yeah, it was just fuel. It was just fuel.
So for me, I know I've changed because I was a big personality kid growing up, and my family will tell you, like, I would talk to strangers in the store. I would memorize commercials and act them out. Like, this is how I was from when I could talk. And I'd like talked at 1 year old. So I was like this person that everybody's like, where did she come from? She's so small. But I was personality from early on and so involved, had to be in this, had to be in that. But as time went on with me, I think I had several insecurities that caused me to want to be invisible. Growing up, going to different schools, moving quite frequently, making new friends, gaining weight as a kid, that's always a tough one. And also if having like needing braces early on and didn't get them. So at that time, I wanted to be invisible, but I put it all into my schoolwork. That never affected my schoolwork, but I didn't want to be called on. I never wanted to go to the front of the class because I didn't want everybody looking at me. And it probably wasn't as bad as I made it to be because we tend to be our own worst critics. But for me, it was like, oh no, if I could just kind of shrink in the back, don't call on me. I don't want to make a speech, all of that. And then, those insecurities just rolled into, it kind of morphed into the new person that I became to be. Kind of when I met you, I had personality, but I still was like, let me work in the back.
Right.
I don't want to talk. Let him do all the talking. And that's how it was. But wouldn't you say, as we have gotten older and learned each other's personalities all the more in different settings too, we tended to kind of switch roles in different ways.
Absolutely. Yes, I would definitely say that. And there's a lot, and just really quickly about, as we do these about Mr. Personality and the Invisible Woman, is to really help sharing our story and about couples and where they are. Because it could really, conversations go into, why do we have that argument, or why are we like this, and whose fault is that? It's your fault. Or I'm
not going with you anywhere anymore because I'm just so tired of everybody being all in your face. And I mean, and not just you. Again, it depends on the setting.
Right.
But then that can start to drive a wedge in between the relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is with it, because you are who you are or who you have become, and when you don't know that person, and I'll just sidebar on that, many people don't get a chance to get to know who they really are. They know who they become based on the environment, based on situations.
Or who people told you should be.
But I actually, for me, when I went, there was a time in my life where I took 2 years to really get to know who I was. And it was a exciting but scary moment, because then you start thinking about all the little quirky stuff about you. You can even start to have some insecurities because now you're comparing yourself to other people. You're comparing yourself to where you are at that time versus where you want to be. Like, am I behind? What happened? Why is it that somebody over here, they have a nice car and we're the same age? We have the same job. So now all these things start developing, and then you meet someone. One of the things that when I met April told me this. She said, "Wow, you're one of the shortest guys I've dated." I'm like, what?
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like, but if I didn't know who I was, though, if I wasn't so confident in my stature, it could have really been kind of like, oh, wow, wow.
But you know what? I was thinking about, too, when you're in relationships, I'm glad that's a good little segue. What if I continued to talk about you being a shorty? I mean, that's what I'm talking about, the wedge. Like, if I kept bringing it up, like, oh my gosh, I'm putting on heels, I'm over top of you, or you're so short, you're too short. If I kept bringing that up over time, that could almost create, if you're not grounded in a strong person, that could almost create an insecurity in you. And this is what I wanted to mention too. If you have a spouse constantly comparing you to another person, ooh, big time no. Like, that's your fault. If you had right, that is your fault.
That's your fault. If
for example, like if you're like, why don't you be more like Jacqueline or whatever? She gets up and she's not nervous at all when she talks. Like, she talks to people, she works the room. If your spouse keeps continually hearing that, at one point they're gonna snap on you and be like, "Well, why don't you go marry Jacqueline then? Right. She's so good." But no, for real, that's gonna make them not feel good about who they are. Like, wow, are you sure you want to be with me, or what's wrong with me? Or there's a way, I think, to encourage and not like break someone's spirit or create an insecurity within a person.
Right, and that's so true. And when couples get together, you really have to have some really transparent conversations, because you'll see a lot of this stuff that we're talking about now about when the blame game happens. Because see, the first time, it's cool when you first get together, and I can tell you one of the things is this, like with April and I, when we were dating, man, I was going to like the shoe stores, carrying the bags. I would be there, like, not complaining, like, wow.
Where are you now?
Those some new. Now, she doesn't even ask me to go. No. Now. Because for me, I'm like, so how many stores? What are you looking for again? Oh, that's a pair of black shoes right there. And it's in your size. You going to get them? No, I'm going to try them on. I'm going to see if I like them. I'm going to walk around. Okay, how long do you need to walk around with the shoe on?
But you know what that's called? I got a word for that.
What's that?
The switch up.
No.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear him, guys? How he said, in the beginning, I was carrying the bags and saying, how many more stores? You want to go to this store?
But that wasn't my fault.
But I'm just saying, it's not older. Well, right.
So,
and your patience got short. But you were saying
your kids got older.
Well, that too. Yeah. But what were you saying? I'm sorry, I got you off track.
I was just talking about how when at that point, carrying the shoes, being there and all of that, and that's okay. But even now where we are with that, and when I do go with her, it's cool. But when I'm not, when she just says, hey, look, I'm going shopping or whatever, and I'll see you when I get back, kiss, and go, there's no, hey, how long are you going to be gone? Blah, 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 this and that. Because once again, we have both realized, okay, now I don't like to go shopping like that anymore. And not that I don't love my girl the same way, and man, I love how she looks, but life has happened, some things have changed. But now, do we say it's your fault because you don't, you're to blame that we don't go shopping together. It's you, you don't want to go. Well, here's the thing. It's both sides because I may say, yeah, man, I don't feel like going shopping. I don't want to walk around the mall. I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. Well, on her side, I don't want you to go because I don't want to hear you complaining about how long I'm going to be there.
So are you saying one shouldn't change the other?
What do you mean?
Like, I make you feel bad. Like, you should want to go shopping with me. So trying to change you, should, is that like a no-no? Or, when it comes to personality-wise, let's go back there and not use the whole shopping example. But when we're talking about, no, because I'm cool with the way things are. I can go shopping by myself. I'm great with that. Yeah. With the personality-wise, should one make Mr. Personality be more invisible? Or should Mr. Personality try to make Miss Invisible have more personality? Do you think that's something that should happen? Or should there be... I think there should be a mutual respect on a person's personality. Right. Because for me, that's what drew you to them in the first place. Right. I think there should be a mutual respect for it. But I think... there should be an encouragement and not like we were saying before of you should be more like this person, but encourage the person if you know that's something that's going to help them how it's going to help them in the future, how it's going to help you all as a couple. If you all in a ministry together like we are, it would behoove me to, I'm going to say, get more personality because I'm taking the invisible woman role, but it would kind of be in my best interest to get a little bit more personality, and also for Mr. Personality, if I may step there, for him to kind of dull his pencil. Dull his pencil a little bit. So there's an opportunity for the invisible woman to come forth or shine, if you will. Because when you're in those roles, we can get comfortable in those roles. Right, like Mr. Personality can get comfortable with always being like, all right, I'll take it from here. And you like, oh, I'll say that, or I'll make sure that's done. And then the invisible woman can get comfortable and like, okay, yeah, you go ahead and handle it like you always do. Yep, go up there and talk for the both of us. Or, you know what I mean? There's a level of comfort that both persons can take in those positions, but that doesn't mean that's a healthy position for you to take. Right. There's always should be, I think, a stretching or a sharpening of iron to one another, and be open to receiving constructive criticism, knowing that this person is not coming from a place of trying to hurt your feelings, but it's coming from a good space. Now, I can say, even though I'm open, some stuff can sting a little bit, and it'll take me, a day or two to kind of think over it, ponder like, okay, this person is right. But in my human stubbornness, I could be like, in my brain, I'm not going to say it, and it might be on my face, but I'll be like, okay, fine. Yeah. I don't want to hear it right now. But then Holy Spirit come in and be like, bring things back to your remembrance. Like, okay, yeah, that I can work on that, or I do need to stretch myself in that area and not come to a level of complacency.
Right. But now the question becomes is that a fault of that person, like to the point where you would get into a big argument about it, versus talking about
we mentioned
things,
that last time.
You know what I mean? Versus talking about things, because with Mr. Personality and the Invisible Woman, and I want to reiterate this too, that when we say the Invisible Woman, we're not talking about women taking that position as like, I am going to be the Invisible Woman. We're not saying that. We don't want people to get that confused like, hey, be invisible. Right. Be seen and not heard. We do not.
It's a personality. Yeah. When we say invisible, we're saying it from the standpoint of a person on the outside looking in can be like, wow, she don't say much. And that's kind of an invisible frame that person is in. And then the personality person, that's just what it could be categorized if you're on the outside looking in.
Right.
And it can just be personality driven as well.
Yeah, we definitely want to, I definitely want to clarify that. That we are not saying, hey, fellas, don't tell your lady, I need you to be the invisible woman. Or ladies telling your man, I need you to be the Mr. Personality. I need you to be that guy. But more like talk about and study your spouse, study your significant other, get to know them, because I can tell you that was a challenge that I had for years. Because once again, that personality guy, we go somewhere, meet strangers, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, know that person. Hey, what's up? I saw you last time. Or just in the line at a store and talking to someone, and it's like, we've known each other for years. Go to a restaurant, and a waiter or waitress, you're talking to them, and it's like, where you from? Colorado. Oh, wow. What part of Colorado? Colorado Springs? Yeah. Do you know?
But there just has to be a level of consideration on both sides. But a lot of people would probably say, now let me speak on the personality side, or being with someone with a big personality. You have to, it's a balancing act. You have to not be so like, I'm ready to go. Come on, let's go. And then you have to let the person know, like, okay, you've had enough time. Right. It's time to go. But in a tactful way. So it really is a balancing act, knowing the person. And then, like we said before in the last episode, having a conversation like, hey, next time, can you be a little bit more considerate of your time, or how much time we're waiting on you, or time that you spend, or what have you. So it's like when you say knowing your spouse, knowing that if you know that it's not coming from a hurtful or harmful place of he just out there don't care nothing about me. Some people just really kind of lose track of time, or they let the crowd build. They love to talk. They love to engage with people, and they really do forget. Right. But I will say this: if I'm constantly bringing it to your attention each and every week, I can say I'm going to get a little bit irritated. Right.
A whole lot. A whole lot irritated. And, and that can go with Mr. Personality on the opposite side. Hey, I need you to speak up. Why are you so quiet? Yeah. Do you have anything to say about this? No. I'm kind of, it's cool. But now it's like, hey, look, I need you. Okay, so what about this venture that we're about to do, this business? What about that? Okay, go ahead. I mean, I think you're going to do good. Why can't we do good? And it's like you're pushing that person to bring them into where you are versus talking about it. You know what I mean?
Maybe they have other interests.
Absolutely. Have you taken the time to talk and be transparent enough to find out what that person's interests are?
Talk about the businesses that you got me involved in.
Oh my goodness! We don't have all night, because the thing is, we really we're gonna over time. You'll hear bits and pieces of different things, but I really thought that because I was out there doing business, and man, I'm excited. I'm meeting people. I said, you know what? My girl needs her own business. I went and started her own business for her.
Twice.
Came home with all the products and say, hey, this is your new business. You're the owner of this business.
How did I react to that?
She reacted like, okay. And so now,
how did you feel about my reaction?
Initially, I think when her reaction, I was like, what? Like, hey, you, what's wrong with you? This is the business. And then, but once again, the big personality or that person, that they're very driven. And like I said, we'll talk more about professional friends that we have that are professionals that talk about personalities and these extroverts, because temporarily it could be like, man, that's not the reaction. But I don't care. You're going to work this business. I'm going to help you, and we're going to build it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I have something current, too, that, and I don't think you intend to do it. And I'm bringing it up because we've already talked about it, so it's not a surprise. So don't look surprised.
I don't know.
Different things or decisions that need to be made at the house or just in general. And I might ask him, so what do you think about it? Don't grimace. I might ask you like, so what do you think? I want to hear what you think first. I'm like, okay.
So is that a bad thing? That's my...
Now, this is why, because it kept reoccurring. It wasn't just like once, twice, 2, 3 times. I had to say to him to put his mind at ease. I think he had the wrong understanding of what I was asking. I was asking him for his opinion. He didn't think I had an opinion about it and that I was looking for him to make the decision, which I wasn't. And I had to, it wasn't until I came to him and said, hey, why do you keep responding like this every time? What do you think we should do? I do have an opinion, but I want to know what you think because I'm very inclusive.
Right.
So this is something current that it kind of comes up every now and again because
absolutely
Henry can easily make the decision, but I like to get wise counsel. Not that I don't have an opinion. I'm like, Henry, I do think. I do have a mind. I have an opinion. But I just want to get your opinion so I can make sure I'm on the right track, or if I'm in a valid decision about something, this can help me out.
Right. And I think a lot of times with couples, you really do need to have these conversations and speak up or stop talking, because the personality person is always talking. They have an answer. They probably are always thinking about something because somebody's called them, somebody wants to hear from them about something. So it's always something going. So now all of a sudden, one of the things that April said to me once that was so cool and it helped me, she said to me one day when she asked me a question, and I took what she was asking and I went all the way left, right? And next thing you know, she said, I didn't need you to fix it. I just needed you to give me some input, not fix it.
Or just listen.
Right. But the one thing is, and that's one thing with big personality people, sometimes we have a challenge in listening to understand what people are saying. And I'll just say me. Let me say me. And that I've worked on it and continue to work on it. Because I can hear somebody, they can start talking about something, and I'm hearing that it needs to be fixed.
But you know what, though? An invisible woman type person can be the very same way. If you're a fixer or you're a helper. But I wanted to go back and say, and we're going to end it with this because this is going to be a good way to start next time. Some people may be reluctant to come to a spouse because of how they respond.
Or significant other. Yeah.
Whether it's Mr. Personality, Invisible Woman. Some people can be reluctant to let them know if something has bothered them based on the response. Now, I'm not going to go too deep in this. When we first got married, I didn't bring stuff to you a lot because of how you responded with some things in the past. And I would just kind of work through them, work it out, or just deal with it because of the way you respond. And I'm sure that was probably the same for me as well. But I'm just speaking on my side. Not that it was just kind of like, I don't even want to bring it to him because he gonna just do the most, as everybody say. I'm just like, I just figure it out. I'll work it out behind the scenes, but I just don't want to get into it with him. So that's a good place for us to end. It could be like, why people don't want to come to you with it?
It ain't my fault they don't want to come to me. Or is it?
It is.
Yeah.
You know why? Oh, and I'm not going to tell you, but you know why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know why.
Yeah.
I know why too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, and like you say, it's a great place for us to stop, because I would just ask you this until the next episode. Mm-hmm. Have conversation. Have conversations about how you feel about that current situation. Okay? If you are having a challenge and you're talking about something, stay focused on that conversation. Because once again, if it is that every time I bring something to you, you blow up or you go and do the most, keep it at you do the most. You do the most.
Or you don't really take it serious.
Right. Whatever it is, make sure that you're clear on what the challenge is. Don't just rattle off a bunch of, well, it's your fault that we have this. It's your fault that you did that. No, when I talk to you, it's always a challenge. And so now, but once again, just, man, love up on each other.
And don't be afraid to have the conversations, because, sometimes people can get anxiety with that. I know I would get like, oh gosh, I got to tell him that we need extra money for this, that, and the third. How's he going to respond? And to all of that I have built up in myself and what I already preconceived his response is going to be, it typically isn't that bad.
Nope.
So guess what? There's more to gain than it is to fear when it comes to that. So have those conversations. It will make the world of difference. And what did I say we was going to talk about next week?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't know what she said.
You don't remember?
No, we were going to continue.
Is it how we respond?
Yeah.
People may be, thank you, Holy Spirit. People might be reluctant to talk to you based on your response or how you respond. So we're going to dive into that next week. But until then, don't forget to subscribe to the My Tyme Only Podcast. And the time is spelled with a Y, so it's Tyme. My Tyme Only Podcast. And guess what?
It ain't my fault. That's what I told her. Hey, y'all. Have a great week. Talk. It ain't your fault. It ain't your fault. Just talk about it.
Talk about it.
We're out. We're out, y'all.